Good morning. Good afternoon to all of you. Sit. We are fighting over the Assamese students. Where are they? Come front. Dependent Das, lecture 2. We'll start. ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ವಣಕಂ ಎಲ್ಲ అందరు మహానుభావులకి నా శతకోటి నమస్కారాలు సగడైనా మాజీ నమస్కార్ सबको मेरी नमस्कार we are celebrating the Indian Languages Day. As most of you know, the Prime Minister declared 11th December the birth anniversary of Subrhamanya Bharati as the Indian Languages Day. And all of you know that JNU is also implementing the NEP 2020 by making everybody's mother tongue a part of JNU. But we want to do it innovatively. Not just language, literature, it's also art, archaeology and culture. Because if you have to understand the people, it is in their language that you will understand. And most of you who were there yesterday, the governor told you what it means. We are not saying don't learn your mother tongue. And nobody is imposing anything onto anybody. We are just saying to understand somebody else's culture, the best way to understand it is to learn their language. And JNU being India's #1 university, I think it is very important that we take the step here. So this is symbolically we have begun this. We have begun it when we have had on 21st December, I will be meeting with the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister, Muka Stalin. He is giving me a check of 10 crores. So it is coming in reality to a JNU corpus. I formally thank the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu for this gesture, and we hope that will set in motion other languages also coming in, because I am appealing to all state governments that education is where you should put your money. Because if you don't put it in education, the next generation will be deprived of many benefits. And that is why in JNU we will be starting with the Special Center for Tamil Studies. And we have today Nani Kumar Mohanta, who is from the Assam Special Advisor to the Minister of Education and the Education Secretary, who are want up to set this Shankar Deva chair in Assamese language, literature and the Bhakti tradition of Assam. And as most of you know, the Prime Minister also believes that they are as much a part of India as we are. And no more we neglect that region of the world. And they've also had traditions which are similar to many of our traditions in other parts of the country. So because of this, we are with the Shankar, and then we are also having the Marathi chair coming in. So you have, and the Odia, we have Odia chair already, and Professor Udaynath Sahu, who has done a lot of work. He has published nearly 9 books in English from classics of Odia literature. And the Odisha government also has very positively agreed to enlarging. I'm sure. And then we also have after Kannada chair, where the Dr. Vishwanath is there. The Karnataka government is also ready to, I don't know what chair is called, anything, sir?
Sir, I recently asked for the movement of Karnataka. After service with you, you can telephone to the PA.
But
Yeah.
he speaks Telugu, sir. I speak Telugu. Speaking the language, you see how advantageous it is. So that is why we are having, so I want JNU to become the center of India's cultural diversity, which is indeed our strength. It is not our weakness. It is our unity. So because of this, I am very happy that Shri Mohanta is there and the Education Secretary is here. And we hope to enlarge, what to say, these, JNU will also teach Indian languages. Not only, and we will also have a translation department, meaning we will translate regional classics into English and Hindi. Do all of you know the Tamil department has translated Tolkapiyam into Hindi? And then Sir has translated nearly 9 texts from Odia into English. Chandi Puran, Vichitra Ramayana, all the great Sarla Das, the great Odia writer. So you will know regional literature, language and others. And we are also now going to run short-term courses. Like one of you want to learn Odia or some language because you are going there or you are having a job there. Then you can do a 6 months course on what to say, speaking Odia or speaking SMEs, writing. See, it makes a difference when you know the language. So that is why JNU wants to work as a bridge between tradition and modernity and realm and region. Meaning we say India is one and Indian literature is one, Indian culture is one, though written in different languages. That's all. So once again I welcome you, sir, and we would be very happy to collaborate with the government of Assam. And we have here most of our deans, faculty, students who have been responsible for the success of this event, which we started from the 12th. We also had a lecture on temple architecture in Tamil Nadu, and that was also very interesting. Thank you so much, and I would request Dr. Mahanta to say a few words. You want to say, come. She's a come here. Come here, sit down. Come, sit.
Perspective, then it will be
Yeah, better, yes, come. I just started off without knowing that you are there. Sorry.
Vanakkam. Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome all the honorable delegates and audience on behalf of JNU to this wonderful occasion of Tamil Heritage and Indian Languages Week. In our week-long session, today we are celebrating the Indian Languages Day. Before we start the session, I humbly request our Honorable Vice Chancellor to felicitate our guest.
Mahanta is also Nani, is our former student, he is our alumnus. Whether you will be able to take it in the flight, but we are getting to know. This is instead of bouquets.
Okay,
We decided with JNU emblem to give,
Yeah.
and this is from our horticulture.
Very meaningful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I kindly request Dr. Meenakshi Sardar to felicitate our Vice Chancellor.
Why me? Okay. Oh, not bad. Every day I'm getting a book. That's good. Now, come here.
Thank you, ma'am. I would also request Dr. Meenakshi Sardar to felicitate our professor, first Professor Rajneesh Kumar Mishra.
Yeah, for Sanskrit. These are the Indian languages we teach here. Sanskrit and English. Sanskrit and English studies we have.
Professor Om Prakash Singh on music. Professor Udaynath Sahu on audio. Professor Vishwanath on Kannada. Professor Dhananjay Singh on English.
Indian English, right?
Now I would kindly request Professor Vipender Nath Das, Rector JNU, to deliver the welcome address.
Thank you all. Madam has already created the background for what we have assembled here, and we are really very happy to have her as Vice Chancellor in this university, and we know because of her initiatives and leadership, we are holding this program, celebrations of Indian heritage and language, for a week-long program from 12th December to 16th December. And as she has rightly said, that JNU is one of the expressions of Indian faith in terms of diversity and its unity. We know that if you geographically travel from one part to another part, then we will have so much of differences, and it takes a lot of time. So in terms of dimensions, if we say that X, Y and Z, latitude, longitude and elevations, which collapses everything when you come in JNU. Actually it becomes dimensionless and as a point, and you find in a single point, either in mess or in classroom or in a single hostel, you find so many cultural diversities, and either side of the wall or within a single room you find north and south are existing together, or east and west is existing together. So many a times we say that JNU is a kind of mini India, and as our Vice Chancellor, that she also represents the mini India. She knows languages of Eastern India, starting from there, Western Indian languages, Gujarati, Marathi, and South Indian languages is stalwart. As she has told that Telugu, Tamil, Kannada, so Malayalam she is. So she is having so many proficiency in different languages. What we find that assemblage of all the persons in JNU. So JNU we usually say that mini India. The best part is that it is not that pouring into the single places of different language background, but also we need to subscribe the heritage and culture of India. That scope JNU is having. It is not actually prevalent in all the other universities or higher education institutions in India. That scope and opportunities JNU is having, and that is the best part of JNU. And therefore, we should take the leadership in actually flagshipping that programs of celebrating the Indian heritage and language, and have a culture actually which gives as a bridge of different cultural heritages and languages whatever are there among our people. So it is not to be considered as a barrier, it should be considered as a bridge and which connects all the minds and people of the country who are there within this subcontinent, and we should celebrate it and joyfully experience this diversity of our culture and heritage, which are very, very rich, as she has rightly talked about, that national education policy wants to actually inculcate among all the citizens of the country, which are missing, and it tries to bring back that pride and usage in our day-to-day life, and that is very, very unique, and that should be celebrated. And therefore we welcome all the dignitaries, Dr. K. Srinivas Rao, that Secretary Sahitya Academy,
Secretary Assam, Education Secretary Assam,
and our Nunigopal Mahanto, and all the persons actually, our professors, those who will be speaking on different languages, Sanskrit, Hindi, Urdu, Oriya, Kannada and English, and all our teachers and the dear students, and we welcome and have a grand success as our Prime Minister has visioned it as a mission that we should take it up, and JNU should have a kind of leadership in these occasions. Thank you all, and over to our
Thank you, sir. Now I kindly request Dr. Meenakshi Sardar to felicitate our Rector and Dean, School of Language, Literature and Culture Studies.
Photo
Also, Professor Sudhir Aiyar.
He is Dean of Sanskrit and Indic Studies.
he is a Dean of Sanskrit and Indic Studies.
So today's theme is role of my language in the development of Indian culture. So now may I request Professor Rajneesh Kumar Misra to speak on Sanskrit.
या सृष्टि सृष्टुराद्या वहति विधियुतं या हविर्या च होत्री ये द्वे कालं बृहत्तः श्रुति विषय गुणाय स्थिता व्याप्ति विश्वं यामाहु सर्वबीज प्रकृतिरिति यया प्राणिनः प्राणवन्तः प्रत्यक्षाभिस्तनभिर्वतु वस्ताभिरिष्टाभिरीक्षः। नमस्कार आप सबको, and I have been instructed to speak in English. First of all, the title of this session is Role of My Language in the Development of Indian Culture. I read this pronoun my as our. The role of our languages in development of Indian culture. So, why it is so? Because our languages are not, they have not developed in isolation. And you see, there is a close affinity between language and culture. Perhaps language is the best medium to express culture and to constitute cultural elements as well. Let me tell you about an experiment, rather a risky experiment which we did in 2019 in JNU. And since our honorable guests from Assam are here, and with the permission of them, I would like to narrate this. We, in fact, plan to stage the very famous play of Kalidas, Abhigyana Shakuntalam, in JNU. And we have a very vibrant Assamese group here, culturally very active. So with the help of my student was also in that group. So we decided on the occasion of this Shankardev ceremony, we decided to stage this Abhigyana Shakuntalam. And we took a risk. We selected the manuscript from Kashmir of this great play Abhigyana Shakuntalam. This is supposed to be the oldest manuscript and most authentic. So the script of the play comes from Kashmir. Okay? And in this, usually what happens, Sanskrit plays are both in Sanskrit and Pali. Both these, I don't say two different languages, but twin kind of thing, twin languages. What happens these days, either we present it completely in Sanskrit or we present it in one of the Indian languages. So we decided to stick to the original manuscript, the language which Kalidas has used in this. So we took up both Sanskrit and Prakrit. And we presented this whole play in the Rashtriya style. And we were really afraid that who will come to see this play. Sanskrit is not that much common. This is a reality. But to best of our surprise, the biggest auditorium in JNU, Audi 1, it was fully packed, and it was a huge success, presenting it in the Rashtriya style. This shows the cultural, though we talk about cultural diversity, but there is a unifying thread. You see, text is coming from Kashmir in Sanskrit and Pali, being presented in Rashtriya style, grand classical style, and so many things, So it was a huge success, and that assured us to make more such effort. You see, sir, that language is not, doesn't follow the political boundary. Linguistic boundaries and political boundaries are not same. So there is a continuity of Indian languages. And if we cross from one stage to another, there is a space where you will find the elements of 2 different or 3 different languages merging together. And this is how it was, when we proceed either from Tamil Nadu upwards to Kashmir or Kashmir to Tamil Nadu, you will find this rich linguistic pattern. It is interlaced, it is in continuity. There is no break. There is no break. So this has to be remembered that Indian languages are in integrity and they form a cultural pattern. Our term for Sanskriti, though it is a Sanskrit word, and but it has not been used much in our Sanskrit literature. Recently, we are perhaps overusing it these days as a kind of translation of the term culture. But how do we map our culture? There are 3 terms as introduced by Rajendran in his Kavya Mimamsa, Sanskrit poetician of 9th century. He says there are 3 elements, and Rajendran is not the first one. it is again from Bharat's Natya Shastra, Bharatmuni's Natya Shastra. Riti, Vritti and Pravritti. These three things help us to understand the richness, or in other words, diversity of our Indian subcontinent. Riti is the linguistic pattern, Vachan Vinyas Kram, we call it Vachan Vinyas Kram. Vritti is Vilas Vinyas Kram, the expression of aesthetic mode, and Pravritti is Vesh Vinyas Kram, dress code and all such things. So in the same text in Kavya Mimamsa of 9th century, Rajshekhar has imagined a kind of narrative where he says that Kavya Purush along with Sahitya Vadhu, see this combination, Kavya Purush and Sahitya Vadhu, they move around this country, this whole subcontinent. And Rajshekhar never fails to note that wherever they go, they follow the local Riti, Vritti and Pravritti. You know? And finally, when this travel is complete, they get married also. So Sahitya, Kavya Purush and Sahitya Vadhu got married. So happy ending. Now the term Bharat itself